everyone, it's Autumn. Today I wanted to do a video where I took all of my Natasha Denona palettes and I kind of move them around a little bit to make a perfect palette for myself. So I have 4 Natasha Denona palettes. I have the Safari palette, the Biba palette, the Tropic palette, and I have the Sunset palette. I got this idea from Samantha Ravendall. She did a similar video, and I'll go ahead and just tell you now, I've already done it. That's why I didn't open and show you what they were. You will be able to see what the original palettes look like here in a moment. But I rearranged the palettes and I put my perfect palette in one, and then I tried to group after that into little quads. And the thing is, I didn't think it through. These palettes are done 15 shades per palette, so a quad doesn't make sense. So next time I do this, after I use what my perfect palette would be, I'm going to go back through and I'm going to group things into trios, and I'll be a little bit better about it. I also noticed that my perfect palette, when I just made it, I ended up putting a lot of very similar shades in there. So I think that this is like a trial and error sort of deal, but again, I did pick my favorite shades, and so of course they're all going to be similar. So I stuck them all into this palette. I'm going to use it for the next month. It's part of my beauty basket, and then next month maybe we'll reevaluate and we'll do something similar. But anyway, I hope you enjoy it. I'm doing this as an overhead shot, and I'm going to speed it up quite a bit, so this video shouldn't be too long. I hope you enjoy it, and if you enjoy this type of video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up and comment below letting me know that you enjoyed it.
It's time that I borrow, running too fast for the sun, and my eyes, they still burn for tomorrow. Ooh, wanna come alive.
So this is my palette, my everyday palette that I'm going to go ahead and put together for this month. So I'm gonna go ahead and just grab this right here, and it'll be in the Safari, and I'm gonna stick them in here.
Rains with color, like I have done since a child.
Now for these, I want to put them in kind of quad format and then stick them in the rest of the palettes. So kind of go by color. Not really by color, but by contrasting color. So a lot of you know that makeup companies, when making palettes, they like to group together quads of colors that they think would make a good eye look. So that is what I'm gonna do here, or at least attempt to do here.
And my eyes, they still burn for tomorrow. It might never come.
Okay, so here are the quads. I do have one left over, so I'm going to kind of put them in palettes. The more colorful quads, I'm just gonna go ahead and stick in the Tropic palette so I can kind of remember.
I'm keeping up through lows and highs, and I see it. Why I'm alive.
Okay, so here are all the palettes rearranged. The one I'm going to try to use the most this month is this one, and then I may rearrange them in another No, actually it's not this one. It's this one is the one I'm gonna try to use the most this month. I found that like these two, I got them confused. The color stories look very similar, which is kind of funny because I pulled these from all these different palettes, and then you have these two on the end. So I may rearrange these to where it makes more sense after I use this one this month, and really try to hone in my favorite shadows. And then if the favorite shadow thing doesn't work out, what I'm going to end up doing is maybe then just grouping all of them by quads that kind of makes sense, or maybe I'll do trios since they're in lines of 3. That may be the better option here. All right, so now that we're all done with that, I just want to go ahead and show you and see if it's maybe in better lighting here. Yeah, this seems to be a little bit better lighting with the shades that I've used here. I will say that a lot of these shades are similar in tone because obviously I was choosing my favorite shades and they're going to be similar in tone. But I am going to use this month. The thing is, I didn't really put many shadows into my beauty basket other than some NARS things that I'm going to be talking about later on this month. But the one thing that I do want to add in as far as the shadow goes is these Natasha Denona palettes. None of them have a super light all over shade. So I actually have a favorite super light all over shade that I use all the time. I know that a lot of people really enjoy the Wet n Wild one, but I think it's been since discontinued. And this is nowhere near as affordable as the Wet n Wild shadow, I'll tell you that now, but this is the Marc Jacobs, and the shade is in Perfecto. And this is just my absolute favorite all over shade. It is a little bit lighter than my skin tone. Obviously, it's like a white shade. I have like pigment all over my hands now, but it's not super matte. When it buffs into the skin, it kind of, if you see that, kind of has a nice sheen to it. Anyway, I will be including this in the beauty basket, which you've already seen, along with being able to use this palette because, again, Natasha Denona does not have a shade similar to this, at least in any of the palettes I own. She probably does in her other palettes, but she doesn't really do a whole lot of repeat shades. The only repeat shade that I have from her is the shade Cocoa, and that's among 4 different palettes. Anyway, I just realized that I forgot to film an outro, so I'm gonna go ahead and do that quickly. I'm almost actually done editing the video at this point, but next month I am gonna do this video again. I think it's also just gonna be part of like my monthly beauty basket situation, and I'm just going to move the shadows around in different ways until I find something I really enjoy. Also, I think it's really great to be doing this because I've spent so much money on these palettes and I want to make sure that I'm actually using them. And it's also a wonderful way to maybe get a little bit creative with your shadows if you feel like you're getting into a rut. So that's mostly what this is for. If you enjoyed it, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, comment below. The engagement really does help with my videos. So I guess that's it. So I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.